People overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they can do in 10. But it is the small things that happen and the chances you take in the moments that I think is the most significant whenever you start to join the dots backwards.
Welcome back to the Mindset and Marketing Podcast. On the Mindset and Marketing Podcast, we cover two topics, mindset and marketing. These are the two most important skills that we believe that you have to master to achieve everything that you want in life. Obviously, over the last few episodes, I have been joined by some amazing guests, business owners who are talking us through the ups and downs and then the huge successes of owning your own business. Today, I'm delighted to announce that I'm finally joined back in the room with my co-host, Matthew Toman. Hi, Matthew.
Hi.
Welcome back.
I'm back. I know. How long was I off for? 6 weeks? 8 weeks?
Like 3 years.
Oh, no.
It felt like.
Oh, it was great. I'm not joking. It was so good to be off. I am 10 years in business in another 4 weeks. And I needed that.
Well, we can't wait to catch up, so we want to hear everything that happened.
Yeah.
But I also want to kind of just remind people, for today, we're obviously going to catch up on everything that you've done, but really just emphasizing to people out there that, this is why you created this podcast in the first place, to create awareness that everyone out there, if you own an online business, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can travel, work from wherever you want. The work-life balance, you've nailed that now.
I feel like I actually have. Today, by the way, Sharon had suggested interviewing me, and I was like, do you know what? I just came off a podcast the other day, and I actually really enjoyed it. And I don't think it would be a bad thing because we're talking about so many random things. But work-life balance, I can confidently say I have mastered it.
Yeah.
I was so out of whack for so long. It was all work. I couldn't get off my phone. My mom and dad used to say to me when we were out at family dinners, get off your phone. But I couldn't, because a client was on, something was happening. I couldn't just set my phone down. There was things I had to do. But now I feel like I've mastered it.
But even going back to I know some people will know, but going back to before, you created the agency and the evolution of success and all of the different kind of online businesses you have. If we kind of go back to before all of that, for people that don't know, so your career wasn't working for yourself and it wasn't working online. What was it?
So I left school at 16 and I didn't like school at all, and I went to get a trade. I went to work as a refrigeration engineer, and I done that for, drumroll, you will not believe how long I done it for. I done it for 13 years.
I can't even imagine.
I was a refrigeration engineer driving around in a van, lying on the ground in a puddle underneath a fridge, fixing a water leak, gassing up fridges, carrying bottles up onto roofs, fixing electrical problems. It is crazy to think that is what I done for so long. Now, during that time as well, refrigeration's a really good job, by the way, and a brilliant career, and I'm not knocking it. It's not for me, but it's definitely a brilliant career, and you make a lot of money. I made really good money, and I bought houses. I invested in houses, and I had a little sideline property thing going on, and then I invested in other different businesses. So I always had other business things going on. But my actual career and job title at that time, whenever I was filling out my car insurance or whenever I was filling out anything, was refrigeration engineer. But it took me all around the world. I worked in Australia as an air conditioning engineer. And again, made really, really good money, was given a van and had a car over there. I could have went anywhere in the world. I looked at going over. Oh, sorry about that. We are on airplane mode on everything but this. Let me see. How can I just do that? I'll just mute it. So basically, we had went to, I was a refrigeration engineer. And I really was growing and building the property side. I wanted to leave my job as refrigeration and go full-time into property. I was looking at different sites to build. I was working with planners and architects and going into a property career, essentially. That's what my goal was at that time, and working into that, because I always wanted to work for myself.
That's what I was going to say there, because, obviously you'd said the money, in terms of the money, it was a good career.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what were the things that were kind of pushing you away from that then?
I did not like working for somebody else. I worked in
Yeah.
a company where if you didn't get your holidays in at the start of the year, you were left. You had to do take with what was left.
Yeah.
Do you know if all my friends decided, and they did, they were all going to Ibiza 1 July, and I couldn't get off. You know, because it's a really busy time of the year. I couldn't get off, and they very much hold you to ransom. Do you know,
Yeah.
you've no job then. So I didn't like that. I didn't like having to get up every morning. My alarm going off at 7:30. Did not like that. Did not want that. I haven't set my alarm to wake up since 2012, and never will again.
Yeah.
I never will set my alarm to wake up unless I'm going for a flight or something. So I had PTSD around that. And I think at the time I was getting fulfilled with having like a career and then also having a business on the side. I'd never actually, I was never able to make the leap over to making enough money on the other business to leave that one. And I understand that's where a lot of people are. You know, a
Yeah.
lot of people can't leave their main business to go into their, you know, their side hustle. For me, looking back, the side hustle was never going to make me the money that I was able to leave my own job and with the way that I was doing it. It just was never going to do that. So whenever everything crashed and burned in the recession, you know, I ended up on unemployment for 2 years. And with refrigeration and having a company car, company phone, and really big salary, having property on the side that did make me money, didn't
Yeah.
make enough money to support my lifestyle, and other business ventures that I had that did make me money. But again, I was pretty wealthy. Do you
Yeah.
know, I had sports cars, holidays. I could put my hand on 60 grand if I wanted back then. I was only like 22, 23, you know, and it was a crazy time. I was working my way in this mad goal to be like a millionaire before I was 30. Um, I was far from that by the time I was 30. I was signing on to unemployment and broke. So I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So that's what ended up happening in the old version of my life. And I was living in Dublin at the time and I was on unemployment for 2 full years and I didn't tell anybody. I was absolutely ashamed. I was
Hmm.
so embarrassed. I couldn't tell anyone. And it was a really difficult time, to be honest.
Do you know, whenever we had all the guests on, they were talking about, their business journeys, because I just
Hmm.
think it is so important to let people know because, on the other side of it, if you haven't done it yet and you're thinking about it, you have all these obstacles in your way and you think, oh, well, you know what? Those people who are doing it because, it was all smooth. Like they figured it out. They mastered the plan. They knew what they were doing. They went to get it when it's not really the case. Like there's a lot of learning that each of the
Mm,
guests had to do. There was highs, there was lows, and it was kind of navigating all of that to then come out on top.
yeah.
Because if you don't kind of step into, that zone or, of being uncomfortable or of taking risks was a big one, then you're always going to kind of be where you're at now. And, when you
Yeah.
say about the whenever the recession hit and then you were on unemployment, like a few of our guests went through something similar to that, and that was whenever then at the lowest point they then found
Oh,
the
yeah.
direction that they needed and wanted to go.
Like I was on I was in Thailand for Christmas with my best mate and we were on the beach and I can remember being back and forth with the estate agent. Yep, another 1,000, another two, like bidding on a house, going back and forth. Not a care in the world. Okay, I'll get the paperwork over to you now. Just bought another house, went sale agreed. You know, I did not have a care in the world. I never heard the word recession in my entire life at that point. My parents had, their parents had, my grandparents had, because it was just a thing. And then when I started to come over the greatest recession of all time coming, and all this stuff, I was thinking, that's not really going to affect me. Sure, I don't really have that much debt. But then whenever the banks wouldn't allow you to remortgage, refinance your house, refinance your business loans, and everything started to get on top of you,
Yeah.
that is where the learning happens. That is when everything kicks in and you have to learn, okay, what is interest rates? Because I didn't know.
Yeah.
I could have got at that point, and I was in my early 20s, 70 to 100,000 on credit cards.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, I never took them because I could have went and had a ball. But so that is where I started to learn about financing, about interest rates, about loans, about paying them back, about my responsibility, what I have to know, about all these things. And unfortunately, I had to go into insolvency. I didn't go through bankruptcy. I spoke to my accountant. I'd done a deal with all of the stuff that I owed.
Yeah.
And I was able to get out of it, thankfully. And then I was able to continue working. I lost my job then. I was living, whenever I moved to Dublin, they run away from it all. Genuinely run away from my problems. I left Belfast and moved to Dublin. And for anybody watching outside Ireland, north of Ireland, the city is Belfast. South of Ireland, the city is Dublin. They're two different countries, two different currencies, two different phone lines. There's so many different things going on between in one country. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's
So
nuts.
I moved to Dublin and set up my life down there. I ended up working as a refrigeration engineer again. Really, really unhappy. I was quite depressed because the houses were crashing. My everything was going at that point, and I was like, do you want to know what? I'm at probably the most unhappy I was ever at. And I pushed myself outside my comfort zone, and I got into acting. I started doing acting classes. And
Hold on. How do we go from refrigeration engineer to acting?
I ended up reading the book called The Secret,
Yeah.
which was one of the best things it's one of the only books I've ever read. I'm dyslexic. But The Secret seems to have big text and it's easy to read. Or I don't know, maybe I was just so into it. I took my time and I ended up watching it, and it started thinking about things. Who do you want to be? You know, what do other people think about you? All of these things, it forces you to ask these questions to yourself. And whenever I look back over the years, a lot of people had said to me, have you ever thought about acting? Oh, you look like so and so. Oh, do you not think you'd be good at that? And I just thought, you want to know what? I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to push myself outside my comfort zone and do it. And I had a tiny little bit, a taste of that in Belfast, working as a bit of modeling, a bit of like
Yeah.
TV work and stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm going to maybe elaborate on that in Dublin. And that's what I did do. I joined an acting class. I rang one of my friends, guy I know, and said, look, what school do you recommend in Dublin? Because he was an actor, and he said the Irish Film Academy. And then I met Rachel Sarah Murphy, who's now one of our clients at Bankhouse.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing the Irish Film Academy for about 2 years.
Do you know, it's so interesting because there's little golden nuggets in that as well. You know, we talk all the time about the kind of power of educating yourself and doing the work on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you were obviously in a low place and it kind of forced you to kind of go, right, what am I doing? Like, how am I getting out of this? Who am I? Where am I going? And even just small things like, and I know there's loads of other things, but just in what you said there, you know, picking up that book, for people that don't know it, you know, check it out. It's unreal. Because I think actually The Secret, whenever I read The Secret, that is kind of how the whole house and everything came about for me.
Did I buy you it by any chance? I was
I don't.
at that point. I was banning for everyone. I was like
You could have
sending them
done.
up the north, and I was like, read this. I probably bought one for Rachel.
Well, yeah, it's in there actually.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, you know, those little things, like, you know, it doesn't come naturally or it doesn't come organically. There's things that you have to be doing, and that's in your mindset. You know, that book, The Secret, is amazing for mindset, and you reading that is just already shift. You know,
Yeah.
it shifted your mind, and it causes you. It's not magic. What it does is it causes you to then take action. So you took action by
Yeah.
signing up to that course, the acting course, and like everything kind of goes from there.
It opens your mind to the possibilities that are out there. You know,
Yeah.
I always believed there was something more for me. Right? Even whenever I was working as a refrigeration engineer and I was getting into my van every morning, I did not believe in my gut, if someone was to ask me, is this your life? I would have said no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's not going to be this.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of thought it might have been in the entertainment industry or in the film industry. I always had that in my gut, you know, my gut feeling, and I hadn't really got any desires to get married and have children. It wasn't really my thing. And my friends all wanted to do that. The girlfriends that I hung around with, the guy friends, they all had a path that they really wanted to follow.
Yeah.
I was thinking that I don't want that. Do you know what I mean? There's no way I want to do that. There's so much of the world to be explored. There's so much life to be lived. And I could see so many people going through financial difficulty, unhappy with their lives, unhappy in a relationship that they've separated from. And I was thinking, I don't want to go through that. I want to look and see if there's other experiences to happen. And I ended up going, wasn't that good of an actor. Got cast in a couple of movies. But I absolutely loved the hustle bustle behind the scenes. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it. It was so good. hanging out with the makeup artists. I used to be sitting and say, like, do my makeup for the crack. I used to get like,
They're
they
like,
used to
"We've
put
got
lashes
work."
on me and everything. Do you remember one time there was this thing where everybody had to donate where they put makeup on? It was like a Facebook trend that went
Was it
round.
not take it off?
No, it was men had to put makeup on or
Oh, right,
something. I think it
okay.
was for testicular cancer. And one of my friends put it on Facebook and tagged me in it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not doing this. You know, because they were all taking the piss doing it.
Yeah.
And I was working on set at the time, and I said to the makeup artist, "You have to do this." And she ended up doing a full face of makeup. It was hilarious.
I need to see that photo. Can
I
we just
know.
put it in the notes below?
Do you want to know what the problem is? People thought that I done it myself, which then was like they were like, "Oh, she's done that before." That was the comments underneath it. But anyway, it was funny. But we were having a ball. I was broke. I was on unemployment. I was driving around in this little yellow car. That was the one from the In-Betweeners. The next volume up was a Sorrento, and I was so happy. I'd never been more happy in my entire life. I worked with a director called Jason Figgis. We worked on low to no budget features. All the makeup artists. We had a ball. You know.
And why do you think, you were so happy then, considering the fact that, you basically had nothing, like in terms of money, was that not stressful?
Moments were stressful. Yeah, I was on the dole. Done a wee bit of dog walking on the side.
That's right.
Opened a dog walking company. That's a different story altogether. I had a ball with the dogs actually. I loved that. I got a lot of tax back at one point because I had a really high paid job. So I got because of whenever I lost my job in July. So I'd already paid like the way the tax works. You pay it every month, averaged out for the year. So I can remember I went to check and see about my tax back, and I got $6,000. Now,
Nice.
whenever you're living on unemployment and you're broke, and this is another
Yeah,
thing I
that's
learned
nuts.
how to budget, how to manage money. It's one of my strongest assets. It's why I'm 10 years in business, you know.
Yeah.
But I learned how to budget at that time whenever I had absolutely nothing. For 1 week's salary would have been like 6 weeks dole. So it took me
Yeah.
6 weeks to make
Yeah.
what would have been 1 week's salary. I got offered a job back in refrigeration. I turned it down because I knew that this was going to work out. I had it in my gut. So I got into film. I got into film producing. One thing that I had that was really good with the creative passion, I also was able to talk about money. Because I'd been dealing with tenants that hadn't paid me, maybe in a couple of months, or I had to have these uncomfortable conversations quite young about money. I was able then to move into the creative space and talk about money, which a lot of people aren't able to. I
Yeah.
was able to charge. I was able to communicate why there was value in what we were charging for. So all of the strength that I had, even back with doing refrigeration, there's times that I would have had to, someone from a Tesco's manager would have rang me and said, our fridge is going down. And I would have said, yeah, I'm in Galway. Can you empty it? Can you empty the fridge? I'm not going to get there in 4 hours. I wasn't actually in Galway.
Where were
I
you?
couldn't probably I don't know where I was, but I wasn't. You have to
Thailand.
you're constantly like dealing with managers under stressful situations. Refrigeration engineers have a shorter call out time than a fucking doctor.
Because all the stock will be ruined.
Because if you don't get there in time and the stock's ruined, then the
Yeah.
company's liable and the insurance is in. It's a stressful job, and I was doing that from I was 16. And I'm talking, there's times I went to work and wasn't back in my bed till 27 hours later,
Yeah. That's
driving,
intense.
like driving and on the ground, up, down, pulling, So whenever I got moved into or film production, and everybody said this is a really stressful job, I was like, how?
Yeah.
How is this stressful? You don't understand stress. So I had this intense stress, and back then I was smoking and drinking and eating crappy foods and dealing with stress in many different ways. But then when I moved into film, I was like, this is easy. This is great.
Well, and this is the thing that we say all the time as well. You just because you're in that job, there might be things that you like about that job and things that you don't like about that job. There might be things that you're good at, things you're not so good at, and all of those kind of skills, no matter what it is, can be transferable.
Yeah.
So it's like understanding. And when we spoke to Jackie on the podcast last time, she was talking about, your job and moving and stuff. And she was saying that, in terms of you need to figure out what your values were. So you knew the value was not money at that point. Obviously there's a
Oh
bigger
yeah.
goal, but the value was the happiness and,
Yeah.
the people around you and the creative element of it. If you didn't know your values at that point, then you could have then just went back to refrigeration if your value was money?
Well, the thing is, it kept the one question that I kept pushing myself on at that time was, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Is it money? Is it, is it houses? I couldn't come up with anything. The only thing that I had to focus on that moment was, all I want to do is be happy.
Yeah.
I'm not happy and I want to be happy. So I had to then start questioning everything. Does this make me happy?
Yeah.
And the answer to no, 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 no. And then being in acting class, being around other creatives, like picking up the camera and shooting, learning on the job, learning a new skill set, learning a new talent. That was all giving me so much energy and making me really happy,
Yeah.
At that time, it really, really was. I was living with a guy who was also acting at the time, and we had a ball. Like we laughed, danced. We had I've created like the best memories with some amazing people.
Yeah. And it doesn't end there, because that's kind of where, whenever you decided to choose happiness and you went in that direction, obviously from there, then working in the film industry, that led you to creating a film production company or academy.
Yeah.
Which then led to you creating your digital media agency, Bankhouse.
Oh, look, it all started from there. It got to the point where I was like, okay, now I'm sick of being broke.
Yeah.
I was sick of being broke, and I was getting hounded by the unemployment centre in Dublin. I don't know if it was because I was from the north or what. At this point, by the way, no one knew I was on the dole still. None of my friends. Shane knew. That was it. Nobody else knew. But they were coming to my house. I would have rang, answered the phone in the morning and said, hey, and they were like, hey, I'm at your door. Let me in.
Oh, no.
I said, who the fuck are you? I was like, who are you? And he said, I'm from the social welfare. And I'm like, what are you doing at my house? He would just walked in. Where's your bedroom? I'm like, what do you think you're doing? If you don't let me in, we're gonna cut you off.
Oh, no.
That's actually what they said. And I was like, this can't be legal. Like, what is going on? So the guy ended up sitting down. He said, whose shoes are there? Whose shoes are those? And I said, they're my flatmate's girlfriend. And he said to me, what have you got in the oven? And I said, mate, can I ask you a question? Why you ask me these? What is wrong with you? And I said, is this really what you do for a job? I said, do you think I want to be on unemployment? By the end of it, we ended up hitting it off, and he asked me to join Ringsend Rowing Club with him. And I said, look, I'm not going to join. He said, look, I think you need to get out of the house. I can see you don't want to be in this situation. But, I don't know what made him say that as well. I think it was because I was quite ballsy with him and was able to communicate with him saying this isn't normal what you're doing. So that was dead on. At that point, I was really, really trying to get my life back on track. I'd spent actually a couple of months out in LA because I was pursuing acting. I was out in LA in 2013. And then whenever I came back, I moved into Thomas Street. And again, someone called to my house who were like, hey, we're here. I need to see your bedroom. And I said, no, I'm not letting you in because...
Hold on, why do they need to see this? I just need to understand.
Honestly, I done a talk. So Inner City Enterprise, I done a talk at it once. And I said, has this happened to anybody in the room? Because they weren't expecting me to say that.
Yeah.
Because people don't realise that I had zero and had to ask the government for help. So I ended up, some people in the room had experienced it and they put their hand up, Other people, I was on a podcast yesterday and I was telling Helen about it and she was like, Matthew, I've never heard of that before. I said, it happened to me twice. The second time I said to the girl, you're not getting in, we'll go up to Thomas Street and we can talk there. I said, Matthew, if you don't let me in, if I don't see your bedroom, I have to cut you off. So she said that day, look, there's support. Then they started putting me on courses. They put me on a course, this 7-day steps program, the mindset course. At the end of it, the guy asked me would I work for them. It's hilarious. I was like, no, I'm okay, mate. I'm grand. Helen ended up, that's where I met Helen Walsh, a really good friend of mine. And, from there, on the last day of that 5-day step process, it was a Thursday night. I was out for a drink in the Cock and Bull with Paul. And Paul said to me, I said, Paul, I'm not going to go in tomorrow. I'm going to be too hungover. And he said, look, if you don't go in, Matthew, nothing might come of it. He said, or if you go in tomorrow, maybe nothing will come of it. But if you don't go in tomorrow, definitely nothing will come of it. I was like, oh my God. So I was like, I'm going to have to go in. And that's the day I met Shane from Inner City Enterprise, which went on to genuinely change my entire life.
Wow.
And I don't mean to be dramatic around that. He's the one that set up Bankhouse Productions for me. He'd done me a deal with the government where I was able to keep my unemployment for 1 year. I ended up winning Most Innovative Business through Inner City Enterprise, and I got asked back onto the board where I now help thousands of people get back off unemployment into the working world. And that was all because I went in that Friday. And I was not going to go in that
Yeah,
Friday.
that's crazy.
And Paul made me go in, which I'll be forever grateful for. And Paul actually had set me up with living with his sister at the time as well, Val. And
Do you see he went over and above?
Oh no, he did. Paul's amazing. So we ended up having, whenever Shane said to me from Inner City Enterprise, the biggest thing you're going to have to do is pick a name for your company, and I was thinking about Matthew Toman Productions, and I was like, no, what if I ever want to sell it, and I was pushing the door open in my building. It was a listed building. It was on the corner of Thomas Street, and it was the most beautiful building. And I heard the bells going every morning at Christchurch. It was so inspiring, the whole place. I just loved it. It gave me a really good feeling even thinking about it now. And I drove past it yesterday, and it's such a fond memory. And the building was called Bankhouse. And I was like, Bankhouse? I was like, Bankhouse Productions. And I was like, I actually love that.
Yeah.
And I rang one of my friends and I said, what do you think about the name Bankhouse Productions? And he said, I don't think so, Matthew, because of recession and association with banks. He said it's too associated with money. And I was thinking, I'm broke. I need to make some money. So I was like, do you want to know what? Bankhouse Productions. And that was the start of the brand then.
That's crazy.
I know, it was a mad time. And at this point, don't forget, like, I had zero money. And Val had said to me, Matthew, I'm coming back to live in the house, so I need you to move, which was always going to happen. And I'll never forget it. She was gone out and I was in the house, and I put my hand in my pocket and I had like 10 euros. That's all I had. And I said, do you want to know what? I'm going to go over to the markets. There's these markets over on Thomas Street. They're just around the corner. I forget what you call that street. Lear Street. It'll come to me. I walked over to get them, and I walked out of the house and was walking up the street and bumped into Ruth Calderpotts. Now I was putting all over Facebook and everything, Bankhouse Productions, film productions. I was like on sets, photographs. Everybody thought I was so busy. I was skint. I had no work. I was trying to get work. I was only starting out, and I bumped into this girl called Ruth Calderpotts, and I hadn't seen her in ages. And she said to me, Matthew, I've actually have been thinking about you. I've got this idea for a business. Can I have a chat with you about it? And I said, yeah. Let me take you for a coffee. I spent my last tenner on a coffee for like me and her. I told her in that meeting that I had to move out of my house, and she said, Matthew, there's a 1-bedroom apartment in my building. Why don't you come and live here? And I was like, it's going to be too dear for me. And said, no, the landlord's from the north and he will really help you out. We left and walked to it, and then I took that apartment. I got that 1-bedroom apartment, and again that was significant because I was on my own. I was in my own head. I was able to focus on the business just by myself.
Yeah.
It's weird that whenever you look back at all the stuff that's happened, and I know you probably want to talk about like the bigger things, but it is the small things that happen and the chances you take in the moments that I think is the most significant. Whenever you start to join the dots backwards.
Yeah. Well, the thing is as well, like, you going out and kind of, firstly, as well, for anyone out there who feels a bit of shame, around getting support or help from the government, that's what they're there for, to be honest. Like, utilize it when you need to. Don't sit in it and like live in it forever, because the chances are you're not going to be fulfilled or happy in that. But use it if you need to, because they've obviously got loads of programs in the north and the south to help people who do want to start their own business, and that can be from having nothing, just an idea.
Yeah.
Like, that's obviously what I know you're going on that bloody course, but it kind of led to all those things.
Great. Yeah.
And they're free, right?
Well, that was free. Yeah, they made me go on that. If you don't do this, you're getting cut off. The amount of times they rang me and said that to me, and I'm like, because it does instill fear in you. But again, I had so much crap coming from banks and all this stuff whenever I was dealing with the north. That's worse. Dealing with insolvency, bankruptcy, or being behind in arrears in the UK, which is the north of Ireland, is the UK. Oh my God, they literally come after you. It's stressful. It is something that oh my God, that feeling. But so I was ashamed about the unemployment thing. Did not tell anybody. Used to be going around to pick up my unemployment check on a post office called Barrow Street. And my friend Emo had a school across the road. Jill and Emo had a school right across the road. And sometimes I used to bump into them in the Spar, and they'd be like, what are you doing? I'd be like, oh, I'm just posting something up the north, because I was going to a post office. And then it wasn't until 2015 I got nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year, right? because Bankhouse had really just started to explode at this point. And I really thought that I was going to win that. Not because I wanted to, right? But because I was thinking everything I've been through has to amount to something.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking it must amount to something. Like, this is no, because you're always looking for that. You're on the right path. It's going the right way. And then whenever I was on the night and my mom ended up surprising me, I was really emotional and I was already waiting, anticipating the winner is, and it was Robert Giffney. It was a different guy. And I didn't win. And I was like, oh my God. You know, I was like, you know, happy for Robert. I was like, God, you know, is this the right path that I'm on still? I didn't even realize that there was an overall award, which was most innovative business of 2015, and Bankhouse ended up winning that. So I was coming away thinking, oh, a bit deflated, and then next thing they announced that Bankhouse won an award, and I was like, what is this? And then I had to go straight up, so I was like all over the place, emotional. Jameson was sponsoring it, so I was drinking whiskey like straight practically. On every time one went around, I grabbed it off a tray. Um, so by the time the Irish Times or the Independent guy came over to interview me, I was on the verge of like crying, and I'm not really a crier. I was drunk. You know, I was all over the place emotionally, and then I actually bust out crying and end up telling them, "You don't understand. Like, I've been on unemployment for 2 years. I've lost everything. I can't believe that the business has been recognized." He ended up doing a full page article on it the next day, and ended up contacting me and said it was one of the most shared articles of that month or whatever it was at the time, and everybody shared it. I had talked about some of our clients in therapy at the time. They got tagged in it. All our clients started to get tagged in it. They started reaching out to me. Emo contacted me and was like, Matthew, you didn't tell any of us you were on unemployment. Now you've told the whole world.
Oh, that's how they found out.
That's how they found out. So nobody knew until that day, right? Until I was like,
Ah.
and then I realized, oh my God, the power in this. Once I told the truth, number one, I had the biggest release off me because I was like,
Yeah.
thank God, I don't have to lie anymore. Like, and it made a lot of sense for different people whenever I couldn't go out for dinner, I couldn't go on holidays, or I couldn't go to their wedding or their stags, because I just didn't have the money. And then, so I got a lot of calls like that. And then business just started rolling in. Like, literally, business just started coming and coming. And I was like, and the more I was honest, the more business I got.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
And the thing is, there's a couple of things in that too. You know, throughout all of that, you know, the hardships with it all, you still believed in yourself. You still knew there was somewhere that you were going. You didn't quite know exactly where it was, but
Yeah.
you believed that it was going to, there was a different path, and that's what you were working towards, rather than, you know, sitting there, you know, hating life, feeling sorry for yourself and kind of giving up. Like, you didn't ever give up,
No.
you know?
If you doubt yourself, then it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. If you're doubting yourself, it is done.
Yeah.
Because if you don't believe in yourself, no one's going to.
And the other thing I want to say, which is kind of what you said, but just when you relate it to, you know, someone starting their own business, like the importance of, you know, having your story. We talk about it all the time. You told your story, that made you relatable, that made your business relatable. You know, people attach themselves to that and then engage and converse with you then, rather than just being this brick wall that it could be any, you know, Joe, Harry, whatever. It doesn't, you know, well,
Like,
that's what sets you apart.
I will tell you right now, it is really, really easy to look rich. You can hire a Lamborghini out for probably about £1,800 a month, right? You could live in a really penthouse apartment for probably 2,000 a month. You could, you know, you could build a life that online looks really rich, and you could start selling that. I've seen people do it. I work with people that do it. I've seen it all the time. I'd never wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I could have whatever car I want, whatever house I want. I could do whatever I want. For me, it was never about that. I didn't want anybody that I was ever going to be working with to feel like, oh my God, that's what I need to have success or happiness.
Yeah.
You know, once I have these things, I'm going to be happy. Once I have these things, I'm going to be successful. Whenever I go back to Inner City Enterprise and do a talk and put that hand up and say, because they're all coming off unemployment.
Yeah.
They've all had if you don't go to this course, we're cutting you off. If I can stand up and say confidently in front of those people and say, I have got a successful business right now, wasn't always like this. Has anybody in the room had somebody called to their house and people put their hand up and I can relate to that person and they can come up to me after and I can say, you have to believe in yourself and you can get out of this, then that's all I want.
Yeah.
because I'm living the life that I want,
Yeah.
happy, fulfilled. And if I wanted to have a sports car, you know, I would get one if that's what I really, really wanted and was going to make me happy. I'm not saying don't get sports cars, don't get nice watches, don't get nice houses. I'm not saying any of that. Mine is, you know, independent or financially independent and living free of a country. That's what I've
Yeah.
wanted since I was 16. Um, but whenever it comes down to, it's funny because whenever you say about, I always believed in myself, to get to qualify for the inner city enterprise back to work scheme, right? You had to get the unemployment to sign off on, because they give you unemployment for a year, then they give you 75% for the second year. That's like life changing. You can legally work, and you have a little bit of support,
Yeah.
you know, for the first 2 years actually. So we had to go through the process. So Shane from Inner City Enterprise said to me, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to work in Hollywood movies. I want to work in, you know, over in LA. I want to travel. Like I want to do documentaries. I want to work with A-list Hollywood actors." And he said, "Okay, Matthew, wind it in a little bit here. You know, we got to get them. They got to believe you. You know that we can't you can't have them saying that you want to do all this stuff. Like we want to get them signed off on this." I said, "Well, that's what I'm going to do though." And he said, "Okay. Well, what if we said that you're going to do promo videos for the local restaurant?" I was like, "Okay." And he's like, and I was looking at him going, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, like, Matthew, and he said, "This is what they're going to expect." And I said, "Okay, no worries." So I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to do it for the restaurant then." And we filled out the whole form together. They got it signed off. And me and Shane laugh about this now because he ended up coming to Street Leagues, the premiere, which we sold out a 400-seater in the Dublin International Film Festival with Colin Farrell in it. And he was like, "I can't believe you went on to do that." And I was like, "Why?" And like, he actually said he did really always know, but he said it was funny whenever we laugh and look back at that. And I said, I knew from the start that this is what I was going to be doing.
I do think that is a massive, massive part of it. You know, you just from knowing you how many years now? 12, 12 years.
Yeah,
Um, you do have that belief. Like you do believe in yourself
yeah.
and that you can achieve whatever it is that you want. That is a hard kind of skill to master. How, like, what advice would you give to people who are like, who don't have that belief?
It's actually the easiest thing to master because guess what? You don't even have to tell people.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell people. You can believe in yourself and just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know? So no one's going to say, "Oh, you're wrong," because you can just believe in yourself, keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I was very much like send out loud, you know, because my mom's friend Trisha, who's like my second mom, I love her so much. She ended up saying to me at one of Rachel's birthdays, her 21st birthday, or else her 18th birthday, I'll never forget it. She said, "Matthew, if you say it out loud, it's going to happen," you know, and I was like, "Okay." So I started saying everything out loud. I don't say as much out loud now, to be honest. I said to
Are you
maybe
sure?
you. I said to you probably, and I said to Daniel. But I don't say it to people who are going to start telling me that it's not going to happen. I don't do that anymore. Because I've done that for years. I was saying it out loud to the wrong people.
I'd say a lot of people who, you know, are sitting thinking about creating businesses are just saying the negative words in their head a lot of the time.
Oh, look.
Oh, I can't. Oh, I don't know. What about this?
Yeah.
What about that? You know, I think that's like a big obstacle that like is probably one of the key things that people need to try and fix, you know.
Look, I mean, if you're doing something right that you set out to do, mine was film production. I learned everything. I read books on it at the time before there was audio books. I learned everything about film production. If you're going into an area, you got to say, "Okay, well, look, I want to learn everything about that and become an expert in it." That's how you build confidence around things. That's how you say, "I am good at it." You practice, you work hard, you get mentors, you go. I worked for 2 years. In the 2 years that I worked with a company, a film production company, I didn't get one single penny.
Yeah.
Not a single penny, not even a coffee bought for me. And I didn't care. I didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
I didn't. I knew that what I was getting was more valuable than any amount of coffee or any amount of money that they could have paid me,
Yeah.
you know, because I understood that there's so much stuff that I don't know.
And that's like we talk about this all the time, like education. You know, we talked about it earlier. That's another big factor, and you know, you got to put this all just didn't magically happen for you. You put the work in, you know,
Yeah.
you worked on yourself, And like you just said there, you worked on gaining the knowledge
Yeah.
and the insights and the experience. Like if you can just master, those things, you're gonna be in a position then where you're gonna be able to do what you like.
Yeah,
It doesn't just come,
you got to
but
do the work.
but it is there for you if
Yeah.
you want it.
Got to do the work. How much do you want to get out of your life? I wanted out of my life,
Yeah.
the one that I was in. People like commit suicide, right? Because they want out of their life,
Yeah.
and their minds are often clouded by alcohol, drugs, negative thoughts, things that aren't real, um, and I think you can change all of that. That's
Yeah.
the mad part. You actually you can change all of it. I've been in really difficult situations mentally, financially, and you can overcome them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think like the financial one is a big one too. Like it's I think one of the number one causes of like, breakups and everything. Like it's the most
everything.
stressful, mental health, all of that. And like so for anyone who's sitting there wanting the drive to, to go out and start a business,
Mm.
reach out, like we said, to the government schemes, get support from them and get you on that track. For people out there who are in the 9 to 5s and or in an industry that they're just not feeling or vibing and they want a different life, like we've said before, well maybe start looking at a business idea as a side hustle,
Yeah,
and take the time, take a year, take whatever to like get the experience, put the
hmm
work in, to learn and
yeah,
all of that. And that will come. The more you do, you know, the more time you spend doing the thing that it is that you want to do, the more your life is
yeah.
going to move towards that.
And even if even if some things are failure or you've wasted, like if I look back, I could say there's a lot of time wasted, right? I went the hard way around things. I learned them myself instead of getting a mentor, instead of delegating things. But they're not really wasted because that's like an education. That's like learning. Um, Bankhouse end up taking off, and we end up doing movies, documentaries, and we done the corner store restaurants, and still do to this day. So Shane was right, and there's serious money doing videos for the corner store restaurants, and I will never feel like I will always be grateful for them. So I learned a lot of that through the whole years. It's not all about going out to Hollywood, or it's about seeing every single business where they're at and helping them where they can, and that's something that I love to do now. We done a movie back in 2018. Daniel directed it. It was called Dive, and we done it from turning on cameras to releasing in cinemas nationwide. We done a 90-minute feature film that went on to win Dublin Indie Film Festival award, right? Best feature. Amazon Prime, all the streaming platforms, cinema release in 66 days. From turning on the camera to releasing nationwide is 66 days, right? Now that features probably have been done shorter time, but I don't think they've went on to get distribution awards
Uh,
and all that kind of stuff. It was something that burnt me out. I haven't done a drama feature film since, and I'm only looking at scripts now. But a couple of different things happened on that time, and our financing didn't come through, and I found myself in the cat's going to join us here. I found myself in debt again. I found myself in like serious debt. For the first time in years, like I'm talking tens of thousands, and for that at that time for me that was insane. So I was like, oh my god, what am I going to do? I just got a new house. I just bought a new Jeep. We had the office in Temple Bar. I had all the
yeah.
staff. We'd just done a movie, and I was like, oh my god, I'm back here again. What? I can't believe this.
Well, how did you end up like back there? Like, what lessons did you learn from that? Because we do talk about obviously there's no failures. It's not failure if you learn from it. You're
It,
back again.
I didn't. I done everything too fast that time. We
Yeah.
rushed everything. The accountant that I was working with didn't file our 481 tax incentive, and we didn't get our money back. I was very, open and honest with him how I felt, and I wouldn't work with him again. He's really, really big accountant in Ireland. He's brilliant at what he does. Actually, it's just unfortunate what happened in this situation. But I found myself back in debt, and I was thinking. I was sitting at my breakfast bar at my house, and I was thinking, okay, I need to get rid of this house. I need to get rid of my car. I need to like start doing this. And then I really just coined this phrase at this time, and then started to really live that. And it was like, why am I focusing on saving money when I should be focusing on making it? I
Yeah.
literally turned the page because I was writing all the stuff that I could have got rid of. Turned the page, and all my diaries, I've still got them all my notebooks, and it's funny looking back through them. I turned the page and I said, let's focus on making money. What can I do? What services can I do? And I started to write them all down. And because I'd worked with several digital agencies and website developers and content creators, there was an element of them that I thought that I could have done a bit different. You know,
Yeah.
those things that I was thinking, I don't like the way they do that. I don't like how they rope me in this way. And I started to write down all the services that people pay for. And there were web development, lead generation, video production. And I created Bankhouse Media in that moment. I rang my mentor at the time, Anil Chamwani. He was in LA. And I said to Neil, look, I've just had a really financial difficulty. I'm not looking money off you. He's a very wealthy man. Like he's very successful business entrepreneur and coach and all that stuff. And I said, I'm not here looking money because I never have asked for money off anyone. He did end up investing in another movie, but that's because he wanted to get in on. And he got his money back out of it. But whenever he ended up coming at that time, I was like, I need you as a mentor right now. And he said, Matthew, I'm going to be in London on Friday. Can you fly over? And I said, yeah, no worries. So I flew over on the Thursday night, thinking I was going to spend all day Friday with him, going through everything. I think I got 45 minutes. And I was like, but it was the most valuable 45 minutes that I'd done in years. And still to this day, I use the exact same method that he taught me about running all the business and having them all from one umbrella company under one financial institution and how they all work together. And everything changed in that 45 minutes. Met him that night for dinner with his friend. But I only got like 45 minutes and it was brilliant. And on the way home from the airport, one of my then clients, my video clients, rang me and said, Matthew, do you do social media management? And I said, yeah, I do
That's
actually.
nuts.
I said,
And were you doing social media management?
no, it was only me again. It was, well, Daniel was working in the film side of things. And it was only me. And Karen works for me at the time and a couple of different people in the film world works for me. And then I said, oh my God. And at this time, a girl who had spotted me at, we got recognised by Leo Varadkar, the Prime Minister, or the Taoiseach in Ireland. And I was at this day where he was like talking about, you know, the fact that we were employing people and growth in Ireland and businesses up, small to medium sized businesses growing. And this person came up to me that day and said, you don't know me, but I'm married to somebody from Lurgan. I've met you once. Can I come and work for you? And I said, I have no job. I have no work, to be honest. I don't know what you would do. I don't know. So then I got this call saying, do you do social media management? And I said, yeah. And they end up contracting me. I then rang her. I was like, listen, I've just got this contract. I don't know what to do with it. She then started working for me, was really happy to start working for me. And then I signed a contract with that. And we were doing 5 figures a month in the first month of that business. I end up selling so much, and I still hadn't got a web developer at this point. And then I end up coming up with Simone then and Dario. And then at that moment, the really funny thing happened actually. So the business was Bankhouse Productions. I created Bankhouse Media, flew to London, got the Bankhouse Media sorted out, came back, met these 2 graffiti artists, right? They were doing graffiti around Dublin. I was like, how much would it be to spray paint Bankhouse Media on a wall? And they were like 150 quid. I was like, okay, I brought them upstairs into our office in Temple Bar. I was like, I want Bankhouse Media sprayed painted all over that wall. Everybody came in the next week and it was just like a big, massive sign. And see everybody that came into the office, they all went on Instagram and took a photograph of it. It started going everywhere. I was like,
The
Bankhouse
power of
Media.
branding.
And it was a massive sign. And Daniel came in and was like, is that a bit wonky or something? And I'm like, I don't know, I don't care. It's like, but
Well,
it was,
and also the power of saying yes.
oh yeah, look, I mean, that time.
Don't let fear hold you back. Figure it out.
We worked with that company for like 18 months, done loads and loads of stuff with them. And then the girl who actually worked for me at the time went to work for them.
Yeah.
She went to work directly for them. And then that opened the door for you.
And here I am.
That's how Sharon ended up
Thank
coming
goodness.
into. Oh my God, that was everything happens for me. It's like, it's so weird. That was a tough day. That day in particular was a really, really tough day in business. We lost 2 contracts at the same time. They were worth a lot of money. And I was like, God, I was back in that situation. I'm like, do I give up the office? Do I do this? And I'm like, no, go out and you start to sell. You get your product out there. And again, I replaced that money again within probably about 6 weeks. Took me, to reestablish myself, bring you on board. And then it's now a different business than what it was. It's now like, it's a completely different business. I've been offered like millions for someone to buy it.
Yeah.
It's a different scenario.
And that's a nuts thing again, because that's back to you being in that position and taking the negative out of it. What I'm going to do, how I'm going to do this, and just going, let's do this,
Yeah. Having Daniel always was a major support, because whenever we've had zero money, like zero,
Yeah.
I've been able to go out and sell video, and he's been able to shoot and edit it, and before you know it, we've got 10 grand in the bank.
Yeah.
Before you know it, we've got X amount in the bank. Before you know it, we're building, and then we take that money and reinvest it in staff.
Yeah.
And we've got staff coming in. They've got people that are there working for us. And we've always done that, to now where it's like, we took 2 months off and went to Chicago and Japan.
Which we're actually going to get into to end on like a lighthearted
at
note,
some point, I had like the business flying, everybody there working, gorgeous house in Sandymount, which I always wanted, cottage beside the sea, bought a new Jeep, all that stuff was going on. Life was really amazing, and I was walking in and out of work every day, and I was like, why am I like feeling unfulfilled? I'm like, what is wrong with me, Because it got everything that I had set out to.
What was it?
I realised at that point that I hadn't looked at my goals or reevaluated what it was that I was working towards. These are the goals that I set in 2014.
Yeah.
I want to have a business. I want to be doing this. I want to be doing that. I want to be making movies. And I realized, and I was like, oh my God, I've got everything that I want. But it's like when I'm 55, 60, why do I want to be living in this sleepy village, Because it stopped drinking as well,
Yeah.
I went through the period of stopping drinking in the middle of it all. And I was sort of really figuring out who I was again. And I ended up doing this. I'm into meditation, I found all the answers for me at that time, or whenever I turned off my mind and I went into my subconscious. That's the only way I could get an answer, because there was so much going on.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts, a lot of, money, in and out, and businesses growing, and a lot of responsibility, which I wouldn't change. But, and I wouldn't change any of the things that's happened so far, to be honest with you. But I end up doing this meditation. It's Joe Dispenza. I always do it whenever I'm like at really need an answer. And I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in Dublin. I always wanted to be in LA, and I walked into the office that morning. Daniel was sitting there working away. You were up in Belfast. And I can remember saying, dude, I just done like a Joe Dispenza meditation. I've realised why I've been so unfulfilled right now. I need to get back out to LA. We need to go to LA. And he said, finally. He was like, finally, yes. I want to get out of Dublin. And I was like, really? Do you not want to stay here? And he's like, no. Like, I want to open an office in America. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, I didn't realise that you were so... He said, I'm hating it here at the minute. And I was like, God, I didn't even know. I went on my computer that day. Everybody had said to me for years, getting a visa in America is 10 to 15 grand. You don't know if you're going to get one. You don't know what's going to happen. I went on the embassy website myself, filled out the application form, paid $175, booked an interview for the next day, and got a 5-year visa in America.
See, this is the thing, and that comes back to that whole, obviously first knowing what it is and where you want to kind of go and take, it's taking action. Like in last week's podcast, Stephanie from Face Aesthetics Clinic was telling me, I was asking her about her journey, and she was saying that she was working in the beauty sector, her nails and all that, but she wanted to get into skin. Yeah. And she said she knew no one in Ireland was doing it right, so she had to go to the UK. So she applied for a job, but didn't tell them that she didn't live in the UK. So she got an interview, got the flight over, done the interview, and then came back, got the plane back, and they phoned her when she was on the flight, so she missed it. And they said, yeah, you've got the job. Can you start Monday? Then she just packed her bag and went. But yeah. I do think, for people out there who do want to own their own business, there are certain kind of traits that you kind of have to have. You have to be prepared to take risk. Yeah. You have to, we talked about it, educate yourself, get the experience. And you also have to nail your mindset. You kind of have to get on top of that, because there's a lot of ups and downs, but in the end, it's worth it.
Definitely who you surround yourself with, the people. I'm blessed with Daniel as a business partner, because he's got a really growth mindset as well, and I don't think he's ever I've sometimes had thoughts that things mightn't be possible.
Yeah.
I don't even think he's ever even had that for anything.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't think, if I had said to him, do you want to do da-da-da, I don't even think he would question and go okay, he would think how much do I have to do here to, what work do I have to do? Right. And then he said, so basically whenever it comes to that, it was I just feel that, and with you as well, you then maybe are more of a practical version of that.
Well,
You'll go
one,
like, okay.
I'm not a business owner, so I don't. That's why I don't have that same mindset. I'm more of like an organizer.
But you never ever said us, this isn't going to work. You say like, here's how I think we could do this.
Yeah.
You know, because you do really trust like me and Daniel whenever we say things. And I've said to you the other day, we had a meeting last week and I said, listen, I've brought us years in the wrong direction. I've pulled back from bringing in new projects right now because I want to make sure that really where we going in this next 10 years of Bankhouse, that is exactly where we all are happy, you know, which I know you are happy. I know we're all happy, but even on another level, you know.
But you know, that is a valid point, because that was what was coming up time and time again across the last few guests. And it's like, you know, your team, you know, obviously the buck stops with the business owner, but at the same time, you need support. You can't really do it all on your own unless you're just running an e-com. Even then, actually, no one is doing
Who
it on
wants
their
to do it
own.
on their
Like,
own? Who
nobody's
wants to
doing
do
it on their own. But that's the thing, like, so there's certain things that you can do or can't do. So it is surrounding yourself with the right people and think about the weaknesses that you have, because we're human, we all have them.
Oh, yeah.
And then like identify the people that can, you know, jump in and be the strength for those weaknesses.
Oh, look, I've got really good at that. You know, I was crap at asking for help whenever I was younger. And then whenever I was making low to no budget feature films, and I had to ask people, you know, to work for pretty much nothing. I was working for nothing as well. We all were. We're all on a mission. I realized how much people wanted to get involved, and wanted to help, and wanted to do different things. So now I'm delegation central, you know,
Yeah.
because it's not how do we do this, it's who.
Yeah.
And you know, even with your role evolving in the company and people coming in replacing your tasks, and you know, that's just the way it works. You know, it's like you're now delegating things, you know, that you're really, really good at. You have to now delegate to somebody else because there's other areas that you're growing into.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just the way it is with your business. You gotta be able to let go. Gotta be able to say, okay, I'm gonna let go of this. And there's times I have went out to LA and our figures have dropped because
Yeah.
I'm responsible for like a lot of the sales because people come to me.
Yeah.
But I had to let those drop to then build up again in a different way
Yeah.
because I was never always going to be here. It was always the thing that I was going to be gone.
Yeah.
And then whenever I'm out, you know, the projects that I'm working on are around the world in different areas, obviously are bringing in revenue as well. But if we're looking at you gotta just
I think, like, you know, that is another important part, you know, like, don't make decisions based solely on the finances, because that's the wrong move.
oh yeah.
Because you could be, you know, growing and growing a business. Look at some of the like richest people in the world are not they're not happy.
No.
You know, you should, and it's just going to lead you down a path where you're probably going to be stressed out, burnt out, unhappy, because you're basically focusing on money only. Money can be a part of it, but it shouldn't be the reason you make every decision.
Oh look, I mean, we all need money. I enjoy making money. I enjoy what I can do with it. And it's something that, you know, investing back into properties and doing things like that. Something that I can do now and enjoy without the stress.
Yeah.
And you know, there's no shame around making money. People sometimes said, "Oh, he's just about money," or "She's just about money," or
Oh, especially in Ireland, though.
"Oh, in Ireland,
Everyone's like
they're
fuming.
I don't know what it is, but I'm like, why do you not want to have more money? One of my friends is going through a million different tests for this, that. And I said, if you had 10 grand extra in your bank right now, I don't think you'd be in the doctors getting tests done. I think the stress of not having money lives inside your bones. It lives inside your brain. It lives inside your gut, your stomach. Whenever I was drinking to escape my stresses, I had bloating. I was in awful health.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of it came down to the fact that just I hadn't got into that point where I was able to like be comfortable and be able to grow the business the way that I wanted to.
I mean, goes without saying, like, you know, without money, you don't have a roof over your head. You know, you're wondering where your food's coming from. You've got kids to support. Like, that's not a nice feeling every day, like worrying about those things.
Yeah.
And that's another, you know, benefit, and why, you know, you obviously are trying to, why you're doing all this. It's to say to people, you know, there is an opportunity out there for you if you want to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, start thinking about what your business could be.
Yeah.
You know, because people can be on like a salary, and then it's capped. So
Yeah.
you can't earn anymore, you can't do anymore, and that's okay if you're happy enough with that. But there's other options out there where if you've got your own business,
Yeah.
you can earn, as much as you want if you
And
if you put the work in.
but another thing as well. So I wrote a course called Life's a Beach, right? And I wrote that to show people how to run a business. Now, that business could be a digital business, or it could be a bricks and mortar business. It could be a service based business. It could be a flipping window cleaning business. It could be anything. It's the same fundamental things that I'm teaching in that are proven to work. Add more value, understand your break even, understand how to add more products on. If you take you for an example, like you work for the company and you're salaried, but you have educated yourself so much that you're also on a commission base.
Yeah.
So you get the joy of knowing my salary's coming every month, but what I can make here is unlimited,
Yeah.
right? How you've done that is by educating yourself within the area that serves that business. So you don't have to necessarily, even for Life's a Beach, have your own business. You can be so good that you can tell me, Matthew, I'm going to Italy to work for 3 weeks. I'll be like, no worries. I don't want to lose you. So just you do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like you can become so good at something that you can set the tone even within companies.
Yeah.
So, and that comes down to education and being good at stuff, knowing your value, understand what you're worth, all those different things that come into it.
Yeah.
So
true.
it's not necessarily just about working for yourself. And I think that is something that like I probably have given a mixed message on over the years.
Well, it's more just, I guess, because we're always pushing that message because that's what we do. We're an online we're an agency and we're mostly creating online businesses. And that's kind of, we know the power in that with low overheads and all of those things. But at the same time, like anything that we've talked about, knowledge is transferable.
Yeah.
Skills are transferable. So that's another way in which Life's a
Totally.
Beach is transferable.
Yeah. And I actually know the value I know what I love about life, and the freedom of time, the freedom of, being able to do what I want. And if you look at like the different people who work for us, Alex, is able to drop his kids off school, do whatever he wants. Johnny, you can already see like the joy coming into his life because he's now not working for like a regimented company. We're regimented and we all work extremely hard. But it's just about having those skills and being really, really good at what you do and being educating yourself and taking more things on and doing all those things,
I know, and that like if you're not that's a thing. Like you say, maybe you don't want to start an online business, but you're unhappy in your job. You got to change that because I've been there before. You've been there before. I don't have my own business yet.
Yeah.
I'm got complete flexibility. Like
you've got all the freedom.
All
we should
freedom.
swap roles.
I know. Actually, I have. Do you know what? Scrap starting your own business. Just work for somebody who know your shit.
I'll tell you this. There's somebody that done Life's a Beach, right? Somebody that worked on Life's a Beach, and he's actually really, really. He's got his own business, he's doing his own thing, but he's effing amazing. And I was saying, wonder could he work for us as a coach or work for us as and I don't mean this to like a customer service role, but a customer service role, people think of it as, oh, you work in a call center. I'm talking about someone who listens to their clients, talks to them, and then through time will probably upsell to them in some way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I was thinking the other day, because he's done so well, he's talking to me about upsells, downsells, and I'm like, my God, so you can do these courses. If somebody done Life's a Beach and end up being in a situation where they're like, Matthew, I know how I could add value to your business now, I would talk to them. Do you know what I mean?
This is now a recruitment drive for like.
Well, I'm always kind of looking.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
Well, look, I actually think there was, an amazing insights in there, and it was great to kind of get your input because we've talked to so many guests, just on what's been going on and how they've been able to like get to the place from working for someone unhappy, no work-life balance, to the place where you now have what it is that you want.
Well, how life is now is so I got my visa that time in Bankhouse office. I packed up my house. I put everything. I gave like TVs away. They were just coming up the north. Everybody got a TV. And all my stuff was going all over the place. And I didn't want any of it anymore. Like, I don't need this. I sold my car to... No, I actually kept the car for another... Well, what happened then was I started to pack everything up, and I actually moved into a hotel that weekend, the Hyatt in Dublin. It had only opened. I really want... Because I booked my flight to go back to LA. This was March, and I said, you know what? I want to live in serviced accommodation. I don't even want to have a house anymore. So I moved into Dublin City as a tourist, moved into a hotel, and then the world shut down with COVID. So I came up for St. Patrick's, for Mother's Day in 2020, and I ended up being stuck here, and I wasn't able to go back to America.
Right, bit offensive. Stuck
I
here.
had a ball. Well, no. Literally,
We live here.
No, literally, I had a small suitcase with 2 black t-shirts, pair of shorts, like a couple of pairs of underwear, like nothing. All my big suitcases that I was bringing to LA were in the office, ready for my flight. We weren't allowed to travel. I wasn't allowed to go back down south. I wasn't allowed to do anything. I can never forget the day I was walking through town. I went into pound stretchers on one of those streets beside that fish place. Do you know where Little Ring is?
Poundland.
Or whatever. Went in there, Poundland, going around picking up detergent, all the bleach stuff that everybody was pushing on us. And I felt like there was a big ray of sun. It was a clothes section. And I was like, oh my God. I bought like literally all the rest of the boxer shorts, the socks, shorts that were far too big for me. I had no clothes whatsoever. And then I ended up moving into a really gorgeous apartment in Belfast city centre. Beautiful. And I opened an office, Bankhouse Media opened in Belfast, and we started hiring people in Belfast. The best workers in the world are in north of Ireland. I still believe that, you know. And it's not just because I came from here, but they are really, really good. And then life just evolved again and just moved on. So that was the time whenever, you know, there's loads of things we could talk about with like movies and documentaries that we've done. Overnight Entrepreneurs coming out. Evolution of Success. Evolution of Success was a big circle moment for me because Jack Canfield, Joe Vitale, and Bob Doyle, who were in The Secret, end up being in that movie as well.
Which is nuts.
Yeah, and I've just written a book called The Evolution of Success,
which will be out soon.
Yeah, well, we're talking to publishers at the minute, which is great.
Yeah.
So I would love to do it before Christmas, if not in the new year. So this life is evolving and moving. It's mad. I sometimes can't believe it. But anyway, life as it is now. From that date in March, just at the start of 2020, I got my 5-year visa for America, and I've lived in serviced accommodation since.
Yeah, traveled the world.
Traveled all over.
Let's talk about where have you been?
Well, I'm just back from Japan.
Before you get into that, because I do want to figure that out, because I haven't really got to chat to you about it. So you've been working in Portugal, LA,
Greece,
Italy, like literally
all the islands in Greece, amazing.
Yeah, everywhere.
Mykonos, Santorini, Crete. It's actually beautiful. Oh my God, Crete is amazing. It's got a couple of crazy hotspots, Hersanesis or something, and something else, but it's got some absolute beauties. Traveled all through Italy last year.
Yeah,
was in Ibiza. Oliver was DJing. Went over to see him. Went to Lisbon. We went. And then just LA. Went to I was able to go to very dream boat things where it's going to the NBA finals in Miami. Like this stuff that I never thought would have been possible. I'm now able to do. Well, it's more for me experiences, you know.
Yeah.
I got picked up from the Donna the other day, and she got a new car, and I was like, oh my God, I'd love one of these. But where would you even keep it? You know,
it'd be pointless because you're not here enough.
I know, you know? That's the thing. But that's what's going on. So, and I just came back from Japan. The one thing that shocked me about Japan the most is there's no bins anywhere. So
Japan is not somewhere I've ever thought about going. And obviously now you were there for how long?
I was there for just under 3 weeks.
You and Daniel?
Yeah, and Daniel's brother Patrick came over for 6 days.
So Matthew was like, oh, I'm going to Japan. I'm like, yeah, brilliant, have a ball, whatever. And then whenever I started, getting the videos and seeing the story, and to be honest, just how much you kind of just went and done your own thing, not really. You took a bit of time out, which you never ever do. Yeah. I was like, this place must be amazing.
Well, I had no desire to go to Japan ever. Daniel's wanted to go since he was a child, right? So I very much because he wanted to go, I was like, do you want to know what? Let's go. No, we were meant to go to Thailand, Vietnam, Japan at the start of 2023. On the way to the airport, I broke my bloody ankle.
That's right.
Like literally on the way to the airport. So that whole trip got cancelled. And I wasn't really fussed about rebooking it. I didn't care. I'd already been in Thailand for 3 months. I didn't really care about going to Japan. And then Daniel, we'd been working so hard, and it was like, do you want to know what? Let's get a break. And I was like, let's book that Japan thing. So we only booked our flights like maybe about, I don't know, maybe about 2 weeks before, a week before, and then we only booked the accommodation like the day before.
That's so stressful
I
to
know.
me.
But we've been working. We were writing the book. We've just done a movie called Overnight Entrepreneur. We've been busy. You know, it has been
Yeah.
good. I haven't been working in Bankhouse Media for like a couple of months now, but I have been working on other
Yeah.
things. So whenever we got there, I'm a very go with the flow. Daniel is extremely organized. His brother is very go with the flow as well. So we sort of were like, look, we'll do whatever. Some days Patrick was like, I don't want to do anything. I want to be hungover, you know. So because the guys were like out doing karaoke all night. Japan is absolutely amazing. There's so much about it. I might do like I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I've like wrote down so much stuff about that trip that I want to like document it in some way, or do like a podcast around it, because there's no bins anywhere. There's no rubbish anywhere. All the streets are so clean. All the tarmac is so fresh. There's 125 million people there. There's like
Hold on.
3,000 people in the whole place homeless in the whole of Japan.
It's just the fact that you're even mentioning how like good the tarmac is. Like
The
who
car,
notices
a
that?
car could be 35 years old and look like it's just drove out of the showroom.
Yeah.
More. Like, because it all the lines are like yellow, white, blue, whatever colours. It looks like it's a brand new city.
Do you think people coming over here from Japan are like
Disgusted.
what the yeah?
I,
Like,
I got,
that's why
I flew back in through London and I was like, what the hell? This place is disgusting. I couldn't wait to get out of it.
you're
you know,
now back home with the shitty weather and like the the
Even
rubbish.
coming into your house today with shoes on, I was kind of like, should I not take these off? Because you're not allowed shoes in the house. It's different shoes to go into the bathroom. The food is unreal. Like the bright lights of Tokyo is like unbelievable. I went to Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto. Kyoto is very much more temples and things like that. We done some meditation.
Nice.
We done a lot of things. We went and seen monks. We done like a lot of walking.
What obviously I've seen some snippets of the food that would worry me because I'm not a real fancy eater. So
What was
like,
the- what was
what do you get?
Well, if you go on TikTok, apparently I haven't seen this, but the 7-Elevens are iconic. Their food and their snacks. So I had a lot of fried chicken out of the 7-Elevens.
I could do that.
I had a lot. It's like better than any fried chicken you've ever had in your life.
Right. Okay.
But I also done like loads of sushi, loads of sashimi, like loads of Wagyu beef. Just
Oh, well, I would like that. To be
oh
fair.
no, like you'd love the food. The
Yeah.
food was so unreal. I had non-stop coffees. Like I mean, I think it was cheap, to be honest.
You see, out of all of the locations that you visited when you were there, what one would you say was your favorite?
While I was there was this place actually called Kamakura. It's actually the same name as my favorite restaurant.
In Belfast.
Yeah, Kamakura, right? And we went there, and the first day we went late. We went to see like a massive big Buddha and went to see a couple of different things. And it was great. Went to the beach, had a coffee. It was really, really lovely. It was gorgeous. And then we wanted to bring Patrick back. I was like, let's go with Patrick for a day trip. And then we went back again, and literally, whenever we came out of the train station, we went right the last time.
Yeah.
We went left. We were like, oh my God, look at all these things. We had missed like a full street of like everything. Like there was all the little shops we went in, and there was this shop, and all it had was these like movie poster booklet things that were like collector's items. Like I bought Jonathan one for his birthday, the RoboCop one. Daniel bought a few of them for friends and stuff. And then we end up going up to all the temples. And then we said to the guy, like, where else can you go here that's kind of really nice? And he said, look, there's another temple. It's like 15 minutes walk away. And there was nobody at it, just like locals.
Nice.
There's all these little kids coming up there speaking in English, actually
really?
asking us questions in English. It was hilarious. Like the kids were on, there was no chaperone. They're just doing their own. They were
What age
so,
were they?
they were quite young. There was like 5 or 6 of them in each group, and they were probably about, I'd say 10. maybe
Flat?
9. There's no genders in schools. The kids clean up after themselves.
There's no what?
Janitors.
Oh.
No cleaners in the
I
schools.
think you said no genders, and I was like,
No.
right, okay.
No, there's genders. And it's just, everything is just really, kids navigate through the train stations just on their own. It's so safe. I've never experienced anything like it. If a train is like 2 minutes late, there's a public apology in the newspaper.
Oh my goodness.
Buses are on time to the minute. Buses. We went to this
sounds
place.
like a dream to be
We
from.
traveled to this place once to get this really good ramen, and we were just sitting having it. And on the news, there was a news report, and it was someone dropping a cigarette into the water,
Oh.
and someone throwing
and
that
that's
like
newsworthy because
yeah,
you're
like that's like so disrespectful.
Could you imagine if they were doing that kind of news over here? The news would have to last about 24 hours.
I know.
Just be constant.
Jeez, I know they wouldn't
Such
be
and
able to
such
cope.
done that.
Then there was these like things that we done. Like Daniel, in fairness, now done a lot of research. His friend is from Japan. He knows that he'd done loads of research up to it, and he had like made one big document, and we were just like back to back.
Yeah,
yeah,
because it's huge, right? So I think you definitely have to do something around it,
Yeah.
just so that you can kind of share your itinerary. You've done the hard work now, figuring
Yeah,
that
well,
all
actually, I
out.
could share someone else's. Someone else sent us like a really
Wow,
bullet point
yeah.
itinerary. Yeah, I sent it to one of my friends actually. And then whenever people saw that I was there, they were like, go here, go here, go here. So I was kind of adding those in, but Daniel's like, we've already done that. I was like, oh
That
shit,
does not
right.
surprise
So then I
me.
messaged my friend back. I'm like, yeah, we done that the other day.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, I know.
So it was amazing then.
It was brilliant. I really loved it. I spent a month in Chicago as well. I absolutely love Chicago. I'd love to go with
That's
you.
right, you did.
I would love to go with you. You would
Yeah.
love downtown Chicago. It gets such a bad rap all over the world.
I wouldn't even know because I
No,
don't
it's
watch the
brilliant.
news.
There is some stuff that's negative about like ganglands in everywhere in America.
Not a
Chicago
fan
gets
of
a bit of
Ganglands, to be
no.
honest.
This it's not. It's brilliant. You
But
would
to
love
be
it.
fair, you would have the knowledge. Daniel's from there. You
Daniel's from there. Downtown. He lives in one of the suburbs outside it. Downtown is unreal. He has a farm in Michigan that we were sort of hung out in as well. It was like, do you know what? The past 2 months have been brilliant.
Yeah.
I feel like I just have, even though I took time off, I've
No, you were
finished
still always
finished
kind of there.
almost finished the book.
Yeah. But I think you need to do
Finished
that.
the
I
movie.
think it's good that you're able to do that.
Oh yeah,
You
and I
know.
was saying, even though I've been digital nomad and floating around the world for now, how long? 4 years, probably coming up to my 5th year. I do crave a bit of stability. I'm looking. I don't know. I think I'd like to have my own fridge for a while.
Fridge, not even a bed.
Beds are fine. I stay in amazing accommodation. In fairness, I have really good serviced accommodation. I'm very blessed with that. But I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe just going back to LA, buying a car, getting a house, and just being based there. I don't know. I'm working it out. I changed my mind. I only do that because of the clouds here.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The wind's going and everything. But I think, until you've kind of agreed and have that in your head for like 6 to 12 months, there's no point.
It's been there for a while. I nearly bought a car when I was in LA last time. Because I was leasing this unbelievable Prius, the new Prius out. It's fucking gorgeous. It's really nice. And I was going to go and buy one, and then I thought, you know what? I've got a really hectic summer. There's no point. I'll not be driving it. I'm not going to be back until September.
Yeah.
So I'll see. I'm trying to work it all out at the minute, but that is the hardest thing that I have to think about now, where I'm going to live. Which is
we all know
crazy.
it's going to be LA. It's not going to be. It's not going to be.
It's not going to be here, but it's crazy that's now where my thoughts are at, and that's now what I have to think about.
Really, all in the last kind of, like you say, Bankhouse is going to be 10 in July.
Yeah.
So.
Well, 1st of August, we're going to London, July, for a bit of a gathering for it.
Yeah. So that'll be like all achieved within the last 10 years.
I heard a quote once, and I swear to God, it really stressed me out when I heard it. And, well, 2 things. Somebody said to me, it takes you 10 years to get to where you want to. And I was like, what? I haven't got 10 years. I want it now, because I'd only started. I was thinking, I can't wait 10 years. Because I was only 32, 31 then, 30 then, I was thinking, hey, I'm going to be 40 then,
and yesterday.
And then it's like, people set goals that people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they can do in 10.
Yeah.
So whenever you set goals at the start of the year and you're like, I want to have a six pack, I want to be married, I want to have a house, I want to have 3 children, you know, they think that they're going to get it in their like New Year's resolution. Whereas like they overestimate what they can do in a year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10. And that is something that I have learned to be really, really true. Like I did not think that I would have all these movies, all these businesses, the amount of people. I believed in myself, but I didn't think it was going to get to this and continue to bloody grow.
Well, the thing is, you know, we go back to and talk about this all the time as well, you know, setting goals and have the big overarching goal, you know. But to reach that goal, there's loads of wee mini, you know, there's loads of steps and actions and goals before you get to get you to that.
Yeah.
So, although you said you didn't believe it, you already was set. You were filling in that application form saying you're going to be in LA, you know, movies and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So you kind of that was the big goal. All of these other things have come from you having that big goal.
I know. And in fairness, now we actually have our biggest film project in the pipeline to date, which is predominantly set in LA, and it's like a host.
So
It has more A-list stars than I even know their names.
yeah.
You know, so there's loads of different things there. So it's good. I'm very, very grateful. Extremely grateful.
Well, I'm grateful to have you back.
I'm grateful and thankful for you
I've
and
missed-
Daniel and all the whole team.
Well, me too, for all of us.
Yeah.
I feel blessed, and I'm so delighted to have you back
I
because
know.
I loved our guests, but also, you know, it's your podcast.
So am I back?
hacked
Am
it.
I back every week now?
Yes. He's going to hit this now. He's got out of the
Why
way.
is that?
He just wants to jump in once
I
every
actually
kind of
thought you'd done a
6.
great job.
You're just saying that so you
No,
get
I
out of
thought
it.
you'd done a brilliant job. I thought some of the stories were really inspiring. I haven't heard them all yet.
It's okay. You've
um,
been off. We'll forgive you for that
Yeah,
one.
do you know a couple of more things about Japan before we wrap this
Oh,
up?
yeah. Sorry.
You're not allowed to talk on your phone in the subway. Amazing. People don't walk around talking on their phones in the actual streets. Brilliant.
That's amazing.
Another thing, anybody who's trying to get me, I turned off my notification for my email and never will go on again. So I don't
Yeah.
wake up
Okay. But for anyone else out there who's thinking of doing that, he's given me the emails. So now
No.
I have an inbox that says like 9,997 unread emails, and it stresses me out every day. I
Well,
have my emails cleared.
Well, I check that one. I check that one.
Okay.
Well, that one we need to there's so much crap going into it that we need to clean that one out. My own email has 80,000 emails. I've just turned them off. If someone wants to get me, they can either contact Sharon
Yeah.
or
Phone you.
anybody who's important enough has my mobile number.
Yeah.
Anybody outside that, DM me on Instagram. It's like grand. I look at all my requests,
Yeah.
you know, so people will get in contact with you. I can't. The only thing I was stressed out about the other day, I went in and bought all our domains for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to miss those. Bought all our hostings for like 3 years because I don't want to miss those either.
Well, that would have been a disaster. Could you imagine?
Oh yeah, I know. Buy your domains out, everybody. I'm working with a client at the minute and they're like, oh yeah, I'm trying to get my website back. I'm like, where did your domain go? Their name. I'm like, it's going to be bought. It's going to be
Oh,
gone.
they've lost it. Oh, they didn't renew it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a nightmare.
Nuts.
That's
Yeah.
a nightmare.
But
Yeah, I think. Are you not wanting to come back on the podcast?
no, I am, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think next we'll get back to the swing of things. Have our wee normal kind of
Yeah.
introductions, how's life, catch up.
Yeah. What my next mission is I'm just going to focus on Life's a Beach, the course. I love it so much and it helps so many people, and that's where I'm going to be putting my energy into, and just like people see like leads coming in. I want to know who they are and what they want. Do you know what I mean? It's like we get so many emails, like an email list of 20,000. Okay, I can't know every single person,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I want to try. You know, we're
Well-
changing around our CRM a little bit, where I have more. I wanted that to be more personal. You know.
So we obviously had kind of one of our like 6-month review management meetings and reshaping some things, and Matthew's talking about the Life's a Beach course there, and that is a course that will take you from zero technical, zero business experience, ideas, whatever. If you have like that little feeling that you want more from your life, whether that's more money, whether that's a better work-life balance, whatever that is, a path to doing that is through, creating and starting your own business. And that's really what the Life's a Beach course is doing. It's giving you every element. It's done by Matthew. It's based on his 10 plus years of experience in that space and the ups, the downs, learning everything that you needed to know and putting that into a course that will outline to you what you can do to get that started.
And I'm actually, we watched the whole thing.
But also, I just want to say something. We just do believe so much in it that, like, we're reshaping it now, so it's not available yet, but we're literally bringing the cost right down. We just want as many people as possible to take this course, because your life can be different.
This course has been like $3,000, $3,500, all these different things. I said to Sharon and Daniel the other day, I want to do this for 99 quid. You know,
we wanted to cry.
Do I have permission? But we'll see. Anyway, it's going to be coming. Let's wrap this up. So you can wrap it up.
Oh, do you not want to get you back in
the
swing?
We have to go now. I meant to be at lunch 8
no,
months ago.
No, that's not a good wrap up. That's all about you. Thanks, guys, so much for listening. Matthew, it was great to have you back, and we look forward to getting back into the swing of our normal routine next week. But have a good one for now.
Bye.
Bye.